You ever wonder what happens if you pull a bike out of a fire, whether you can restore it with no skill and very little money? Well, this is pretty much what you get. This started out life as a 2007 Triumph T100. It was in a pretty catastrophic house fire. It was about to go to the scrapyard. Not much was good out of it. It actually runs really, really good. And I'm excited to tell you guys all about it. So the Triumph Bonneville is the classic cafe motorcycle. It's a great bike, and if you like cafe style bikes, just buy one and don't really mess with it and just keep it the way it is. And it looks cool, and it's gonna always look cool for the rest of your life. I built this thing for a biker build-off with Paul Sr. from Orange County Choppers, so I had to do a lot of modifications to it. And some of my favorite modifications, let me show them to you. Of course, I had to put big old knobby tires on it. Yeah, these are Anarchy Wilds. They grip great off-road. They actually have pretty good traction on-road. Come up here is the seat. I'm pretty proud of this seat. I actually sewed this seat up myself. I cut the old one off. I had a hot knife and I re-cut this one. So this started out as the original seat. And here's how it mounts on here. We welded these pipes right here. So this goes back into the original spot. And then where these pipes are, we just have these big holes right here. So you wedge the seat up in the way it should be. Find those holes, it pops right in. As long as you're sitting on the bike, it ain't going nowhere. I mean, it's impossible for this seat to come off when you're sitting on the bike, but when you're off the bike, it just pops right off. Easy access, no tools. I think the normal, the seat, the way it came, has little screws that you can take it off without any tools also. So I wanted to keep it that way. Also, I couldn't figure out any other way to fasten it. You can build pretty cool looking bikes with not that much money. Like, I think I proved that. The other thing is, you don't have to destroy a nice bike to make something custom and cool. Find something that's already been ruined and make it better. Come back over here, we need a tail light. And I found this at a thrift store. This is from a deuce and a half. I thought it was pretty cool. We bolted it to the back, wired it all up. It works pretty well. It's like, you know, military green. Now the frame normally comes out like this and does, I don't know what it is. It comes out longer. These got these little caps in here that are stock on the outside of the frame. They'd be out here. It was easy just to grind that off. Take the caps out of the piece that we took off and pop it right in there. That's a pretty common modification people do on these things. I wouldn't be super pumped to doing it normally because you're cutting the frame of the bike. You're not really messing it up structurally. It does make it look a lot cooler though, because it gives it that bobber look and shows a lot of rear tire. Now what I like about this bike is I kept as much melted plastic on it that I could. This right here was like the seat or the pan over here. It's just gross, and the more you touch it, the more goo gets on your fingers, and it's, you know, it's fun. We did have to get new carbs for it, and what I did is I took some of that like rhino lining, turned the can upside down to make it real inconsistent. It's kind of got to give it that little distressed black look. Also, the entire wiring harness we had to replace, the airbox we had to replace, the brakes, they were just completely melted. They were gone. Actually, they might still be on the bike somewhere, just in melted form. The stator in here was completely melted, so we put a new stator in there. I found these crash bars on Amazon. They were 70 bucks. They fit pretty good. I liked them. Now I did have to modify the exhaust. If you look down here, there's a cross member bar that went from here to the other side. I cut that off and welded a little piece right there to cover it. But this is the stock exhaust. I just kind of cut it in a different angle. We had a couple ideas. We could just keep it going straight, and it does look pretty good when you do that. I wanted to change it a little bit. It's actually a little too loud for my preference, but over here is actually one of my favorite pieces of this whole bike. And that's down here. It's a little, I don't know what you want to call it. It's not a brush guard. It's like a chin. It's like a goatee. Let's call it a goatee. Over here's the goatee, and this is a Dualit. This is off a pretty high-end, like $350 toaster, and it was real thick aluminum. And I was like, man, that's such a cool looking like Art Deco piece. Let me figure out a way that I can make that work on the bike. And it fit perfectly right there. I drilled 2 holes and just made it match. Now it was really shiny, clean aluminum. I took a red shop rag, dunked it in some old oil, put it on top of the aluminum and lit it on fire for a couple minutes, and it gave this really cool distressed look. I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. Now, if you notice, this is the stock fender. I did cut it down. What I did was I cut it, it came to right about here. I cut it straight off with the wheel. I took that piece, put it on there, traced up the new front end. So it actually looks pretty stock. I grind it down. It looks pretty clean up here. I'm pretty proud of that. I welded like a gear on the front. I don't know why. I thought it was like a cool hood ornament. I was pretty impressed with myself when I did it. Now, I was going for a real Mad Max style, and I put these cool looking amber lights. This is the original headlight. It's kind of some pieces scraped off of it. Looks really cool when it's lit up. But over here, I wanted to give it like a a bionic eye type of look. That's a starter from a 2021 Ultra Limited that we cut open, popped it in there, put some epoxy to really glue it in there. I think it looks pretty cool. Now, I know you're thinking, you're like, that's not really rideable. I put 200 miles on this bike a couple days ago, and a lot of that was highway. So it is pretty rideable. Now the fork seals are definitely blown. It was a fun ride too. I really wanted to keep as much original stuff from the Fire on the bike, including the tank, including the front end. What I really like is the fuel cap, and this is a brass anti-tank round from 1943. We cut the top off. This is the primer side. We cut the round off, glued it on there, and it makes up for a perfect gas cap, and I think it looks really, really cool. We painted these black, and we made this say Besties, and then we used a leather gasket to put it on there. I think it looks pretty good. Pretty proud of that. That was all melted. That came from a donor bike. I made this grip out of leather. Feels good. I allowed myself to question what's normally done on motorcycles and be like, can I just make that? And then can I make it out of leather or something else that it shouldn't normally be? And I answered the question of like, yes, you can do that. And it's fun. You don't have to spend 30 bucks, 40 bucks on a pair of grips. Just go cut open your mom's couch and steal some glue out of the fridge, or steal some, no, glue's not in the fridge. Steal some glue out of the glue cabinet and glue something on there and see if it works. Oh, we did put a new chain on here. We actually did a compression test on the motor. It was like 180 PSI on both cylinders. It was very good. So the internals of the engine did not fail when the bike was in the fire. We pulled the oil. We of course drained the oil. The other thing we had to do, and we found this out after the trip, was up here is the coil. Joe, what's that called? The coil? It's up here. We had to replace the coil. It worked originally, but it started to fail on us 50 miles into the trip. So for about 150 miles, it was kind of running on one cylinder. But now we got the new coil in there, and it's running really, really strong. This still was leaking. We had to fix that kind of a roadside, well, not roadside, but in the garage of the Airbnb. So we had to lay the bike over and fix that gasket, but it's holding oil. I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm pretty pumped to show you guys. Now, you might be thinking, you're like, Sean, you don't know what you're doing. That is true, but I had fun. I made a somewhat safe bike for very, very little money. You have to admit though, it does look really cool. If you don't like the rat bike, the Mad Max style bikes, you're not gonna like it. But if you do like that style, you gotta give some credit to be like, man, that's a pretty cool looking bike. The other cool thing about it is I didn't even spend that much time on it. When you have a bike like this, you're not worried about it getting damaged. You can drop it. Cool, it's got another dent in there. It just kind of fits the style of the bike. I do enjoy that. I have a lot of nice bikes that are perfect, and you're always kind of like, oh, don't scratch it, don't mess it up. Anything you do to it, it's gonna hurt it. Anything you do to this thing kind of just adds to the style of the bike. Let's go take it for a spin. This is Joe's dog, Duke. He's a ball of energy, a master frisbee catcher, and Joe's best friend. Duke's always up for an adventure, so he needs a great diet to keep him full of fuel. That's why Joe started feeding him Sundays for Dogs. Sundays is fresh and healthy, human-grade real meat, organs, and superfood. No synthetic junk or preservatives. Vet-formulated, made in the USA. It's legit food you can tell is good. Duke's coat is slicker, he's not picky anymore about his food, and it's shelf-stable, so no freezer hassle. Before Sundays, Joe was stuck with options that just didn't cut it. Greasy canned stuff, dry food that's been looking like it's been sitting on the shelf for decades, looks like cardboard, and Duke didn't really like it. And honestly, I don't blame him. Sunday has changed that with food that's as real as it gets, keeping Duke ready to chase frisbees and tear around the yard like a champ. You want your dog as energetic like Duke? Get 50% off of your first order at sundaysfordogs.com/SRK or use code SRK at checkout. Sundays for Dogs, real food, real results. And before we go take this thing for a spin, let me do the verse of the day. Philippians 4:9. What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. All right, let's fire this thing up. It runs really good. Check this thing. This was the ram mount originally on this thing. It got all melted, but then this didn't melt. The washer underneath it melted, so I put some leather. You can solve a lot of problems with leather. That's how the pioneers did it back when they were riding motorcycle. Now, the Bonneville 100 is not known for being a super fast bike. However, it is pretty quick. I mean, I would say it's a great bike that if you were a new rider and you were getting into it, it's not overly fast, It's not gonna pull your arms off, but it really is. It's a ton of fun. Or if you know how to use it, you know, I think you could. You might be able to surprise a lot of people on a little Bonneville. Oh, it's a Fisker Karma? Fisker Karma, I love those things. Get up here and hit it, Joe. See, it's not bad. It's just fun. Everything about it's fun. When I was building this bike, it was very important that I maintained all of its functionality. I wanted it to ride good. I wanted it to still be fun. I wanted it to not be awful. I think I did a pretty close job at it. Now it runs a lot better. Before I fixed the coil, it was kind of running pretty rough. But now it runs awesome. I can take it anywhere. Now something, I'm not sure if I regret it or if I don't. I don't know. But the gauges were very clean looking, too clean looking for the bike. So we took an angle grinder and threw a lot of sparks at it to give it that like patina look. We made it almost unusable in the sunlight. So I don't think I would have done that again. Maybe put like a torch to it, but not put little tiny holes in it like we did with the grinder. I didn't know if these lights would really mess me up when I was driving, like make noises or hiss or do anything weird like that. And after riding it, they don't do anything. I don't know why. I thought it would make some type of noise or have some negative effect because this one's should be falling off, but it doesn't. So I was very surprised how it rides just like a normal bike. Now it is louder than what I would prefer it to be. Like, it's almost on the scale of obnoxiously loud, but my ears aren't bleeding or anything like that, so it's not bad. If I were to keep the bike and ride it a lot, I would probably figure out some way to quiet up the pipes a little bit. I don't think loud pipes save lives, not anymore. Maybe they did at one point in time. I don't think they save anyone's lives anymore. Defibrillators, they save lives. EMS people save lives. I don't think loud pipes are doing nothing. But I will admit that, you know, I'll do a little drive-by. It sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good when you're getting on it. And it is fun to, sometimes you do want to jump on a bike and make a little bit of noise. Initially, when we were working on this motorcycle, the idea was to put some intake, pull the whole air box out, and put some intake filters on it. And that's how we were gonna, you know, solve that problem. But there were so many things connected to that intake box. All the electronics, all the solenoids, all the relays, and I was just like, I don't want to deal with that. Also, I didn't want to deal with all the jetting and try to make it run perfectly with new intakes. Because when you go off of the original box and you put just some cone filters on there, it's gonna run a little bit differently, and you have to make some modifications. Maybe you get like 2 more horsepower at some RPM, but you lose something. You lose a little bit of drivability unless you know how to tune it and really get it right. I don't know how to do that stuff, and I didn't have the time to take it to anybody. So we made it work with the original box. It was a pain to put back in. It works really well though, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be like, I gotta do all this goofy stuff to run it and get it started. Alright guys, that wraps it up. YouTube thinks you might like this video right up here. I think they might be right. We'll see you guys next time. Remember, it is not what you're riding, but where you're going.